So let's segue to a little bit of college football, going to the NFL, kind of what we were talking about. So we had the NFL Combine this weekend, and what's your take on this? Anybody you seen that stood out, or anybody who didn't show up that you would have liked to see in
Man.
the? Because all right, so I see it like this. The combine is cool because I mean you know what you get. I mean if you really watch the games, the film doesn't lie. The film tells you what's going on. It lets you know, oh, can this guy break away? Is this guy have breakaway speed? Does this guy have this power? Is that zip on the ball? Like is he reading? You know the tape is the truth right here. I feel like the NFL Combine, especially nowadays, is more so just off-season fun.
That's
You
all it
know,
is, man. I'll look at it like this. There's been a lot of people fired off of taking a good performance off of the combine and then moving people up way ahead of where they were already projected. So good scouting staff is looking at the film from real games. That's why players are refusing to take all these tests that teams had them taking. Shout out to CJ Stroud. Uh,
all
just saying, man, it's
right.
they're denying all the footage that they have of players playing 2-3 years in a system against competition, and then they're out there. Some dude was calling it the underwear Olympics, just out there showing how strong and stuff they are, man. So yeah, it's good that guys have good showings in the combine, but good teams aren't drafting just off of combine performances or your pro day when you're doing scripted passes and stuff like that. I like everybody like, oh, these guys are making great throws. Yeah, you're doing it like no pads, no competition. So it is what it is, man. Pro days, combines, all that stuff doesn't really work for scouting.
Just feel like it does a little bit, but not the margins aren't that big. Now for some guys it can really help their draft stock. It's like, all right, they're looking like at like a sixth, seventh round, maybe undrafted status. It could bring them up to fourth and fifth round status based off of a 40-yard dash or a cone drill
Yeah.
or whatnot.
But how often does that happen? Like, if you even look back at the history of that, how often does that happen? And these guys are getting drafted in these later rounds, and then them actually turning into like a real pick because everybody's taking a swing on these guys that have these great 40-yard dashes without pads, without pressure. And then teams are taking these swings on these guys, man. I mean, we can look at the Panthers taking swings at a lot of their draft picks. So, like, seriously, even over the last few years, because they look so great on their pro days or they look good in the combines because their speed and all that stuff, man, without pads. So I think teams are actually getting away from a lot of that stuff because a lot of people are getting fired over the last few years over that.
True. And then another thing, a lot of the players, a lot of the times their agents or their people on their team advising them and telling them, hey, you don't have to do this, especially the top guys. I mean, you look at Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he showed up. He got his measurables, but the film is there. The tape is there on what this guy can do. There's no need to see him run these routes and whatnot. But like I said, in the back end, like you're looking at the first three rounds. The first three rounds is different from the back end rounds. Maybe there are some guys that you did overlook. It's like, all right, so you're looking at a pass rusher. It's like, all right, so and it's fit too. A lot of it is finding the fit. Yeah. So you got a 6 foot, 5'11" defensive end pass rusher. Maybe he plays inside, but his arms aren't too long. So he's good at bull rushing, getting inside, and then pecking his way through versus a 6'3" guy with super long arms that can bend the corner and run the edge. You know, you learn little nuances on these players. And I feel like more so is finding the correct fit for these guys.
But all right, so and that works really well for teams with good scouting.
That's a big thing too.
It really depends on the scouting rooms, right? I look at players like Malik Willis for the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
He did really well on his pro day, and this is like nothing, no knock against this young man.
Yeah, his did he do the combine?
Yeah, because he rose. Remember his pro day?
Yeah, he rose big time.
Right. Man, people got fired because of that, bro. I'm just saying because of not using the tape, not actually using their eyes when he's playing against like legit competition, and they were just looking at the measurables. And honestly, if you're looking at it like this, it's more so for offensive players. There's not really as many issues from defensive players because yes, the measurables will help you with your strength, with your speed and stuff like that, but man, there's been so many situations where people are reaching, drafting receivers, they're reaching, drafting QBs, they're reaching, drafting tight ends just because of how they perform during pro days or the combine.
Right. That's spot on. That's spot on. Well, like you see, yeah, that makes sense as far as for specifically offensive skill players. Mm-hmm. Guys are reaching a lot, and I feel like this is definitely more so what that is for. Now, speaking of quarterbacks, the big three in this draft didn't participate in the draft or in the combine, and who knows if they're going to even participate in their pro day. And the big three QBs: Caleb Williams, Drake Maye, and Jaden McDaniels. I mean, if you look at these guys, they're all like the different archetype we've seen in drafts before. You got Caleb Williams, the spectacular prospect with the perfect arm, can do this and that and whatnot. Then you look at Drake Maye, you're more athletic than your old school traditional pocket guy, about 6'4".
Josh Allen-esque is what they're saying.
Josh Allen-esque. You're 6'4". Big stature dude, has a freaking whip, can sling it. Then you got Jaden McDaniels, your nimble dual threat guy who can just who's just versatile, can do a lot of things. I think it's really funny that those three guys are like the three different archetypes. Let's see, and they are all advised to not do the combine for this season. I would have liked to see Jaden McDaniels a little bit more because out of those three, that's the one I really didn't see. Like I've seen highlights, but I really didn't see his game film. I really didn't get to see him play too much other than that Florida State game versus, of course, LSU and Florida State for the opening season.
But even if you look at him when he was at Arizona State, man, he was balling. He was balling out. So he had 3 years of tape on him, so we can go back and watch the film on him. He didn't have anything to gain by that, like coming in and showing out. They know his measurables. Yeah,
and they're talking a lot about his frame being slender. I'm like, the guy's like 6-something. He's big enough.
He is not a small dude, man. He's what, 6'3"?
6'3", like 210, maybe.
Yeah, man, he's good. I mean, look, you're not trying to pack on weight on a smaller frame. If you really think about it, they didn't say Joe Burrow was small, and they're very similar in frame. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think it looks different from the movement, the way that Daniels moves around the pocket and he moves with a breakaway speed. But and shout out to Joe Burrow. I'm just saying that Daniels' frame is not much different than Joe Burrow when Joe Burrow came into the league. He can definitely put on some weight once he's in the system with the right team. They're gonna get him in there and get him right, get him big. I mean, look at how much weight Tua put on.
Right. So check this. So, all right, we know Caleb Williams is going first. He has to be the spectacular prospect. He has to go first, right?
Man.
Or do you think it's some kind of weird scenario where he doesn't?
You never know, man. At this point, especially with a team like Chicago, that
if they keep that pick,
anything's on the table for them. And actually, they were saying that we were talking about Daniels. They were saying that they were looking at Daniels too. Those are some rumors. Maybe they're trying to throw people off, but is Caleb Williams really that much of a can't miss prospect? I mean,
Dude, Caleb Williams is nice.
yeah,
Like,
man, but
it
like,
is noise.
but is he nice? And I'm not taking anything away from him because he balled out his years there. But is he nice, or is he a product of that system too, man? There's like, and he made good throws, but
You got a
quarterbacks,
point.
every quarterback that's been in that system has made those throws. Like really, every quarterback that's been in that Lincoln Riley system has put up crazy numbers. I think the difference with
So
Caleb Williams is he's just actually his body frame is bigger, and they were doing that with those little quarterbacks.
so you look at him, you look at the guys who played in that system. Who do we have? Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray. What's funny is they're all three Heismans, and they all three played at Oklahoma. Caleb was there before he went to USC. Now, one thing about Oklahoma was they always had a good offensive line, and they were always able to run the ball really good. At USC, that wasn't the case. So in Caleb's case, I feel like he is the kind of talent. Actually, I know he is the kind of talent that can carry the team, especially when things are imploding in the second half. I definitely see those kind of characteristics in his talent.
But they didn't. All right, I'm playing devil's advocate, and I'm not saying Caleb Williams isn't going to have a good year, but I'm saying they struggled. Like, yeah, his team put up numbers. Only thing I can say is I wish he would have had that dog in him to rally his team to win some of those close games. That
I think, but he did. Is that defense was terrible. Man, the defense almost gave up as many points as they scored.
Every Lincoln Riley team defense is terrible.
Well, I mean, this year the team kind of burnt out. The year before, they were one game from being in the college football playoffs until they lost to Utah.
Yeah, but again, it's like he lost to Utah in those big games, and no knock against him, but he never had one of those big signature college wins that make me say, okay, this dude is that man, right? Even if you think back at Trevor Lawrence had that. He had a signature like big time win. You're like, well, this dude's gonna be able to kill it in the NFL because he came through in a big game in a big way. Same thing with Deshaun before he went crazy, he came through in a big game. Joe Burrow came through in a big game. You know what I'm saying? And that's the only thing that I'm saying against Caleb. Not to say that he's not the most. He has great arm.
I feel you on that
arm frame, but I'm just saying, as drafting a QB to come through to pull his team in a big time showdown, like he just never had that moment. And I'm not saying he's not going to be a good pro, but I also see why I don't think it's as much as a home run as everybody thinks it's going to be.
Okay, I see what you're saying, man. All right, now get this. So the number 2 pick, who's number 2 is Washington, right? And number 3 is Patriots. Now let's say things stay the same. I don't think neither of those teams will trade out of that position. I mean, we could be surprised, but then you're looking at the other 2 of the big 3. Drake Maye and Jaden McDaniels. So for much of the season going into this draft, Drake Maye was the automatic number 2. However, you're looking at the offensive coordinator for Washington is Cliff Kingsbury, and you got a guy that's worked with Kyler Murray and Patrick Mahomes. All right, more specifically, let's get on Kyler Murray's case. I see Jaden McDaniels is just a better fit for Cliff Kingsbury with Jaden McDaniels going to Washington. And at this point, I just feel like, or I don't feel like, I know for a fact that Jaden McDaniels is a more popular prospect than Drake Maye. Now, going to the New England Patriots, Drake Maye fits their mold and what they've been doing for so long better. You know?
But even with New England, man, their team is so depleted.
Who's
Like,
that? New England? Yeah, man. I don't.
they do not
They should.
need. They do not. If anybody trades out of that pick,
It should be them.
this should be them, because or they need to sign somebody and have Drake sit, because I mean we all see.
Yeah, they can't put him in there.
With what weapons?
With what?
With what?
I don't even know, bro. What they
they can set that dude back like years, or ruin his career. I'm just saying, any of those three quarterbacks going to New England, they just really need to figure out what they're gonna put around them, because we all see what it looks like when you have a quarterback that's on a team with no weapons when he's young, trying to develop how much that can set somebody back. So,
it's confidence and all of that. So,
yeah, his health. So if they're gonna draft one of these guys, man, I hope they let him sit, or they can trade out of that pick. I mean, I don't know. And I just don't see New England is the worst spot for out of any of those three teams. Like the number, like Chicago, cool. They got some weapons. They got more. Running game is straight, like it's up and down. Like at least there you can see what the quarterback will have.
Right.
Same thing with Washington.
McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Brian Robinson, the running back.
So there was still a lot of progress that the team made with Sam Howell last year.
Mm-hmm. So that's another. They're not for sure to draft a quarterback either. With Sam.
Quarterback, bro.
You think so?
Man,
you don't think they're rocking with Sam Howell?
Man, they're gonna draft a quarterback because they have new ownership, new coaching staff. They're trying to put butts in that stadium that they're about to build, and then a team like that, they're not guaranteed to have one of those three quarterbacks. Man, when's the next time that they're guaranteed to have one of those three?
Yeah, of that caliber. But yeah, Sam Howell, he'll for sure get another chance elsewhere. I'm pretty sure.
Man, here's hot take, man. Because if they release him, if I was Carolina, I would sign Sam Howell and have him be the backup for.
Have him be a backup and compete with Bryce Young. To be real,
that's what I'm saying. I would like to think that would only make Bryce better to have a real QB competition on your team with somebody else that's young around you. What's the worst thing that can happen? He push you to get better, or he takes your spot. Is what it is.
Right. Okay. Good stuff there. I was watching the defensive lineman run 40s earlier today. So it'd be like a 20-something minute video for all the position groups. It's like, 40-yard dash of the running backs, receivers. And I was watching the defensive lineman. To think that which one? Damn it! Which one was the Georgia player? Not Jalen Carter, but the one before him. I'm tripping. I cannot think of his name. But he was 340 pounds.
What, 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2 years ago. The year before last draft. He plays for the Eagles too. I'm like,
yeah, I know. They got the whole Georgia defensive line on it too.
Mm-hmm. But he was 340 pounds and ran a 4.8. Only saw one guy from the 40-yard dash combine for the defensive lineman run 4.8, and that guy was 283 pounds. So the thing that a 340-pounder ran that is insane.
Yeah, man. I mean, you got that much mass.
Jordan Davis.
Okay. I actually was about to pull that up and look myself.
All right. So, okay.